Yo, your team sucks.
What's up?
It's the Dallas Cowboy. They actually got better edition already. They actually got in my opinion, a much better football team already than they were last year. But
Well,
what do I?
they couldn't have done any worse with that defensive coordinator. So let's see what this guy can do for us.
He was bad. He didn't have a ton to work with either, though.
Well, this guy, the guy that you're saying, I know, he didn't have a great stint with Atlanta, but he did go to 2 Super Bowls and won one of them as the defensive coordinator of Seattle. Won two, right? And then, I think the first year or second year in Atlanta, he got them to the Super Bowl, and they gave up the biggest lead in the history of the Super Bowl. But I think he's a dramatic improvement over Mike Nolan. So I think the Cowboys got a whole lot better already. And then plus you put the idiot in Philadelphia who fired the Super Bowl winning coach probably because he wants to keep their shitty quarterback. The Cowboys got better. The Cowboys got better. What a stupid decision that was. You fired your coach who won a Super Bowl because your whiny little quarterback who can't even make routine plays anymore is complaining. And you get rid of your Super Bowl winning coach. The Eagles are going to struggle for a while. They will. Mark my words. They're in trouble.
Well, let's see if they get his coach first. I mean, there are some good candidates out there.
It don't matter who this coach is. They're going to have controversy at quarterback. They're going to be forced to start Wentz. No one's going to be behind them. The team's definitely in trouble.
Wentz, doesn't matter who the quarterback, the coach is, Jordan. Wentz is their quarterback, and he's proven that he's pretty terrible. And listen, I'm not even talking about like Baker Mayfield before this year terrible. He's way worse than that. At least Baker somewhat took care of the ball and played ball control here and there. Wentz is a turnover machine. He doesn't have a high level of character. He's not a great leader. And they just pushed all their chips in the middle of the table betting on this kid. And you know why? Because they paid him all of that money. They had to. And you literally had the coach. I'm envisioning how that conversation went. Doug Peterson probably said, he's not our guy. We need to get somebody better. I want to give these other guys a chance to beat him. And the owner said, hey, there's the door. Get the F out. Right? And pretty sure that's how it went down.
We'll see, maybe they just didn't like the tank there at the end, though, as well.
I think that tank was a good move. I mean, you move up from 9-6 in the draft just by losing that game. Why wouldn't you want to do that? I know you always play to win, but if you can actually move up 3 spots for losing a shitty game, wouldn't you do that? Doesn't that sound like the right move?
Of course.
I think there'll be a market for Wentz, too, if they want to move him. I mean, there's going to be some Pittsburgh might not have a quarterback.
They're not going to move him. I mean, they're not going to move him. I mean, obviously they're keeping Wentz.
Yeah, well, they're keeping him now for sure. That's why they got rid of this. That's why they got rid of the coach.
Yeah, and listen, the Miami Dolphins last year, 2019 season, spent the entire season doing preseason, right? Doug Peterson, when they had nothing to play for, had one game at the end of the season that he treated like a preseason game, and it ended up getting them a better draft pick. They weren't playing for anything. It was smart. It was a smart move, right? And so why the hell do you show the coach who won a Super Bowl without Wentz, with the backup quarterback? How the hell do you show him the door and you keep the guy that literally has done nothing in the NFL? What's he done? He's made a few miraculous plays here and there and then got hurt. And then everybody anointed his ass like, oh, he's the best fucking thing ever. He's done nothing at all. And you showed the coach the door because you paid the guy so much money, right? I don't know. George, what do you think? Cowboys better now.
I think definitely they're better. I mean, Nolan was probably the worst thing that happened to them, getting stuck with him. This coach brought him over there, and he had no idea what he was doing defensively, and it showed. I think, like I told you earlier, I think you can go in there and do a better job than Nolan. So obviously this is a step up, and they just need to change the attitude, and hopefully Dak comes back and they can see a new team. There's a lot of good upside to the Cowboys.
They have a lot of pieces. I'd like to see them move Zeke and maybe some of their other big contracts.
Well, if I had wishes, I would get rid of Zeke and I'd get rid of Cooper. I would
Both
do
of
it.
them. They're being paid a lot of money. If you can get something in return for them, something nice, absolutely.
And offload those contracts. Yes, that would be beautiful. But I don't see them doing it. I think they're going to stick with both those guys. But they have to be better. It's all about Dak. What are they going to do with Dak?
I want to see Peterson be the OC in Miami.
Now, well, let's talk about that. So there's a lot of rumors going around Texas, a lot, especially about Deshaun Watson, who's very unhappy. He's pissed off. He doesn't like that they're not consulting him. He wanted Eric Bieniemy to be, possibly to come in and be the coach. He's pissed, and I think there's a very real possibility because the Dolphins have their first and second round picks, that there's a good chance that the Dolphins, if they want to move him, could actually get Deshaun Watson. George, what are you thinking?
If you could really add Deshaun Watson, how sick would that be? I mean, that's really what Deshaun Watson is. What, top 2, top 3 quarterbacks in the league? Pass for the most yards this year. I mean, if you can get that play, you do it. But what are you risking there? You're risking Tua and your third.
I heard Tua, third, 18, and Xavier Howard is what they were going to ask.
They're not going to get. There's no way Flo is going to give up Xavier Howard.
I don't think
it's
so
too
either.
big of a piece of what he does. He's got 2 shutdown corners. The defense doesn't work without 2 shutdown corners.
So you give him the 2 picks, the 2 first rounders, and quarterback swap.
Exactly. I think either that, or I think they're going to say, we're going to give you your picks back plus Tua. Give you your first round and your second round pick, and you get Tua, and now that it's a wash, right? And you get to develop this young quarterback. The only problem with Miami is if they don't pull the deal off and they try to pull it off, Tua's going to be pissed, and he's going to feel slighted. And so there's a very sort of delicate balance to the situation there where, I mean, with all those draft picks, you don't really need Deshaun Watson, but he does accelerate the process very quickly. And what he does,
I'm not sure Tua's not already burnt. I think he burnt him already. I think for him sitting down 2 games is burnt. I don't think you think he's sitting there feeling good about it right now. No, he's not. He's definitely not in the offseason thinking I'm the Miami starting quarterback. Everyone loves me. I'm going to be this. No, his job's in jeopardy. He got sacked down on 2 of the biggest drives in the history of their league, and he's their starter.
It ended up being the right move, though, and I don't think the coach lost the locker room because of it. I mean,
maybe not the locker room, but he might have lost the quarterback, at least his confidence. You know what I mean? How are you going to come back after that?
Rookie. He had a pretty. If you look at his numbers, he had a pretty good rookie season, and I mean, he just had 1 bad game. I mean, come on, all rookie quarterbacks are going to have 1 bad game, and he played against a very talented team that had nothing to lose, no pressure on them. They're super loose. They could do anything they want, and it really didn't make that. Look at the difference between how Bills played against the Colts than they did against the Dolphins. The Dolphins had all the pressure, and they're a young team. So we got a comment here. It says, I feel for Watson, but it's not the NBA. It's the NFL. Players don't run the league. Well, here's where you're wrong. If he says he's not showing up for camp, they're going to have to do something. And he
also has a no trade agreement clause in his contract, so he has to agree on wherever he goes. That's why all the Miami talk is he said he would go there.
Well, Miami makes sense for Watson for the simple fact that they have all the picks. They have all those draft picks to work with.
Houston's a train wreck. Who wants to play in Houston right now? Everyone's leaving. Everybody wants out. They got rid of his best fucking weapon on the offseason and decided, hey, everything's all right. No, that there's a shambles there. They have to rebuild completely there. So maybe the Tua move's not a bad move for them either.
Yeah, I think them getting Tua and getting a couple really high draft picks or getting their picks back probably reignites that franchise to start rebuilding. But rebuilding right now, you have no first round pick and you have no second round pick, and you have a pissed off quarterback. How are you going to start rebuilding? I mean, they're years away right now from being a good team again, even with one of the best quarterbacks in the league. J.J. Watt is getting old. He's not as effective. He gets hurt just about every year. That defense needs a lot of help. They have no wide receivers. They have no real dominant running back. Their offensive line is mediocre at best. Their defensive line is mediocre. You have a full rebuild to do there, and you have no first and second round pick. So I'm sure that they are having this conversation as well. If you deal Watson to somebody else and you get a first round quarterback it makes sense. It just makes sense that they would do that. Now, a lot of what they've done makes no sense, so it may be a moot point, right? And so, but yeah.
I think the good question is, what happens to Miami if they don't make this trade? What do they do with their third pick? Who's their third pick?
I think they
stick with Sewell if he's on the board.
Sewell's going to be sucked up by the Jets in the second round. I'm
not so sure the Jets don't take a quarterback.
Jets are going to get a quarterback, I'm pretty sure. But I think that I don't think Tua is a bust. I think it's crazy to say that he's a bust. He made some great plays during the season, and he showed his talent. I just think that, you got to remember, he has nobody to throw to. I mean, Devontae Parker was hurt. Grant was hurt. When those guys were in the lineup, he looked okay. And he's got nobody to throw to.
I mean, Fitzmagic makes it work. So,
kinda.
He's throwing to somebody. Someone's catching the ball.
If you're to Gesicki, I'll give that. Look, Fitz, you can't expect a rookie to come in and play as good as a 14-year vet. I mean, you can't.
With no preseason.
Right? Yeah, with no preseason. I mean, you can't. I think Tua is a solid player, and I think he's going to get it together. And I think the kid's got a lot of pride, too. I think he's going to get better.
I think that's why they got to go out.
Year two jump. A lot of rookie quarterbacks do that. He didn't have a preseason. He just got kind of thrown in. And his year two jump, I think, is going to be huge. We're going to see almost like a Lamar Jackson thing. Not saying he's going to be MVP, but he will definitely look like a starter next year. They'll get him ready.
I agree with that. I think he will, too. But I think
Miami definitely should go out there and get Devontae Smith. You guys watch him last night. He was tearing.
Yeah, he's crazy good.
I mean, how do you not take Devontae Smith right there in the third spot?
Well, because there's going to be great wide receivers available later.
Yeah, but this guy's a game-changing receiver. This is a different, special kind of kid.
Yeah, his acceleration is he looks like Tyreek Hill. I mean, he does.
And
right?
bigger.
Yeah, he's pretty special. But yeah, I mean, you get him on the third pick. I mean, here's my thing: is back to Watson real quick. If you get Deshaun Watson and you get a couple of solid receivers, even in free agent, there's some good wide receivers in free agency this year. In fact, the kid from Detroit already said he wants to play. Marvin Jones is a good player.
John Ross as well.
Yeah, I think if you do that and you pair that with that defense, you're way ahead of schedule at that point. You can play with anybody in the NFL. With Tua's probably another year, two away from them being just a dangerous football team. But you put Deshaun Watson on that Dolphins team with a couple more receivers and that defense, they're dangerous. And, and this is the conversations I'm sure that they're all having. But anyway, speaking of your guy, Jordan, he finally won a playoff game.
Lamar Jackson.
So let's hear it, Jordan. Let's hear it. Let's hear how great he is. Let's go.
I looked good in that game, too. I think they're getting back more to what he does. I mean, you've got to let him be explosive, get him on the outside, some of those design running plays. Run to set up the pass.
I thought he looked pretty good. I mean, he had the one miracle run, which is why they won the game for the most part, and they had another run to seal the game. And I still don't think you can live by that, because you're going to live by it, you're going to die by it. If when you go up against a team that can score a lot more points than Tennessee, you're going to be in trouble.
They held King Henry, to 40 yards. I mean, their defense is playing lights out. Their secondary is great. Their front seven's great. That team is a lot more about their defense than it is about their offense. So if you get one or two explosive plays out of Lamar Jackson a game, and he's just solid, you don't turn over the ball, they can win.
Yeah. Do you think he can win a Super Bowl?
I don't see why not with that defense.
Yeah. Did you see some of the throws that he made that were absolutely horrendously bad? I still don't buy that you're going to be able to win a Super Bowl like that.
Yeah, he had one of the best runs I've ever seen, though, as a quarterback.
Incredible.
That run was insane. That run was insane.
It was a miracle run. It was crazy, right?
That
But
accelerated.
but if Lamar Jackson has a mediocre day, they lose. I mean,
But they
it's
get the
kind of
Bills
like
this week.
Russell Wilson. You
He's
know,
gonna have to do more than he did last week because with the Bills
yes,
defense, they're not gonna let him run around like that. So he's gonna have to throw the ball. You're gonna have to see him step out of his comfort zone a little bit, and this is his test. I mean, yeah, he got his win against a Tennessee team that wasn't playing so great, and now he's gonna get the Bills team that didn't look good last week, but they are playing good football. And right now, I think the Bills are the team to beat.
you know, it's interesting because supposedly the Ravens match up really well against the Bills, and it's because they can run the ball right down their throat, and that is the Bills' one weakness is that they don't stop. They're not great at stopping the power run. So I think what you're going to see is the Ravens go right at them, play ball control. The problem is
A whole lot of Dobbins. A whole lot of
well,
Dobbins.
and a whole lot of Dobbins, but you also have just a red hot quarterback receiver combo with Josh Allen and Diggs right now. I mean, they're on fire, and so if they get a couple deep balls, a couple deep touchdowns, Ravens aren't going to have a chance because they can't score with them.
Yeah,
And
The
the
they're
rest
Ravens
of the
have a great
NFL win.
secondary. Let's see if they can
What
get
is
that.
the main sort of parameter, or not parameter, but the main thing that most teams that win Super Bowls do now? What do they all have in common?
Good coach.
They score a lot of points for the most part, right? Is that most of them score points. It used to be defense, you could run the ball, defense, and you can win a championship. It's not the case anymore. You got to be able to score, and you got to be able to throw the ball down the field, chunk plays. I can't think of the last team that won the Super Bowl that wasn't a powerhouse on offense, right? And
The Ravens.
so
Ravens.
probably the Ravens, and that was how long ago? Like
Yep.
10 years, 11 years?
2004, right?
It's been a
So
while.
it's even longer than that. So it was Ray Lewis's last year. That was Joe Flacco's miracle run in the playoffs. So, yeah. So anyway, Pittsburgh Steelers, Cleveland
Wow.
Browns.
Wow. That's all I have to say is wow.
Yeah.
I got my
Yeah.
head kicked into this game.
Well, you may not, I love Mike Tomlin. He's one of my favorite coaches in the NFL. But what the hell is going on there? How is Juju Smith-Schuster going on pregame and lighting a fire under that team? They're the same old Browns, and this and that. That's ridiculous. You just lit a fire under an incredibly talented football team that is hungry and is tired of getting beat by you. And they lit them up. It was crazy, right? So I think the Browns have a lot of talent. People forget, you have two great running backs, not two good running backs, two great running backs. You have Jarvis Landry, who that kid is crazy and he's hungry. That guy wants to get and to win a Super Bowl. They have firepower on that team. Nobody's really given them a chance, but they are, in my opinion, of the teams left, they're the sleeper. Because if they can do that to the Steelers, to that Steeler defense, what they just did, I mean, they put up how many points? 40-something points?
That Steelers defense is not the same. They're soft now. I know I never usually say soft Steelers, but the Steelers are soft. They're not a team they used to be. There's no one in there smacking anybody in the mouth. I know they got the Watt kid on the end, but there's nobody in there just giving it to him anymore. And I think they started off with their Pro Bowl center snapping the ball into the end zone. And then the next drive, what did they do? He comes out, Roethlisberger floats one. They just don't give a fuck anymore. They're not playing with any conviction. And maybe it's Tomlin's fault, who I always say he gets his team ready. He gets his team ready. They weren't ready for this game. They came out on late an egg with a team that didn't get to practice. They didn't have a practice for almost 2 weeks, and they went out there and beat the shit out of them.
They were cocky. They were overconfident, and you saw it from Juju Smith-Schuster before the game. And I mean, it's crazy. You don't motivate a division rival in the playoffs like that, right?
No.
And I'm sure Tomlin had some words for him. I'm sure he did.
But I don't have any problem with that. If you're going to do that, fine. But you better come play. You better come ready to smack someone in the mouth. You think the Cleveland Browns weren't coming to play? You think they were? Oh, now that he said these words, we're going to give you our best effort. Bullshit. They were coming
What is
before that with the game. I don't care
what is
about
the
all that, bulletin board shit.
no? When is the last time you saw the 6-time Super Bowl winning champion New England Patriots talk shit about the other team before they play? When's the last time? You never have.
I don't think that has anything to do with it. These are
I think
professionals.
it has a.
You're
I
a
think it has a.
professional
You
football
don't need
player.
extra motivation. They come motivated.
They haven't played in the
No.
playoff game in
That's all
forever.
for the media.
I can tell you right now, you have it's that extra little spark, it's that extra little hint of motivation. I'm telling you, it makes a difference. That's why Bill Belichick doesn't allow it. No bulletin board material. I mean, it's motivation when you're on the field. I mean, the Cleveland Browns looked motivated. I mean, they were smacking them around, and that's the best I've ever seen Cleveland play. Right?
Well,
So, I
the
mean,
Steelers
something
limped
was
into the playoffs.
They definitely limped in.
Well,
They're
yeah.
looking old. Like I said, the soft word. I know Steelers and soft don't go together, but that's their new title now. They're the softest team around.
I think this is the changing of the guard in the division as well. I don't see Big Ben coming back. If he does, he's not the one he used to be. Their backups did not play very well last year. They don't have any running game to speak of. Juju has 0 100-yard games since Antonio Brown left. I mean, overall, they have a lot of rebuilding to do, the Steelers do. I can see the Browns being better than them for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
And the Bengals are coming up as well.
Yeah. Well, here's what you know about the Steelers, though. They do have a great coach, and they draft very well. They'll be back. But it's really about Ben. Will Ben maybe get in better shape and come back?
No,
probably not.
It's not his persona. Like, I think he's done. I think that was his career right there.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a good
Great
career. He'll be a Hall of Famer. He had a good career.
Oh, yeah. He's got 2 rings, right? So, yeah.
Phillip Rivers is the other one. He announced that he's retiring. Drew Brees is retiring, but I think the Saints already have their quarterback in place. There are teams in the playoffs, the Colts and Pittsburgh, that I don't think are going to be ready to tank that need quarterbacks. Miami can move that pick. This is going to be a really interesting offseason. There's good quarterbacks in this league or in this draft, and that are going to be available. That's why I don't think that they would have a problem moving Wentz if that is what they wanted to do.
Yeah, I agree. So we're going to do our matchups on Thursday. But, yeah, I mean, these playoffs have been pretty epic like the NFL playoffs usually are. I was really surprised to see the Bills, make the game that close with the Colts. But I honestly thought that the Colts should have won that game. If they had a decent kicker, they probably win. But the Bills, I know, George, you're thinking all the way, but I'm still not sold. Josh Allen looked like Josh Allen from the first 2 years from most of that game. And Indy played them very well.
I think the Bills will beat Cleveland, and then they're going to lose in the Super Bowl. But I think it's going to be Bills and Packers in the Super Bowl.
I think with this new playoff format, nobody's talking about the Chiefs because we didn't see them play this week. That's what always happens. But only one team getting the bye, that is such a big advantage. I mean, I think it's the Chiefs. Has to be.
They got a tough week.
Yeah,
they're a 10-point favorite this week, the Chiefs against the Browns. The Browns just shocked the world with the Steelers. Why can't they do it again this week? They have the right team for it.
They do. This is a much harder matchup, though. Steelers looking good.
Yeah, my Super Bowl pick was obviously KC. I'm predicting them to be a dynasty like we've talked about many times. I think, 2 weeks to prepare. Andy Reid, when you give him that much time, some of the stuff that the Cleveland's going to see, they have never seen it on film before at all. And so I really think that, there's just going to be too much for him. But with that said, keep in mind, last year, Kansas City got down in every game in the playoffs. Every game. I would venture to say they're a better football team now than they were last year. But something definitely happened last year in the playoffs where they stopped dominating and they squeaked by, but they squeaked by all the way to getting a ring. So they have a championship sort of DNA there. They're not afraid to get down in games, and they always know that they can come back. I still love KC.
This will be a tough test this weekend. It's going to be a fun weekend to watch this weekend. I got to take KC in the game, but take the points if you're betting it.
Jordan, you picking KC?
It's hard to pick against KC. Same with Green Bay. I mean, we've seen some really good football teams, but they're rested. They're the best teams. I mean, yeah.
George thinks that the Bills will beat KC, or somebody's going to get KC here along the way because he just picked them to be in the Super Bowl. So we'll see.
I think they just can't keep dodging bullets all playoff season like they did last year. So I'm assuming someone's just going to take them out.
Yeah, it's actually a really good point, because I don't think there was anybody like the Bills in the playoffs last year to go up against KC that had that much explosive offensive, power, if you will. You got two. I mean, Cleveland can explode, and the Bills can explode and score a lot of points. And
that's just to get out of the AFC. It's a hard road.
Yeah, it's tough. So it's really interesting, though, because, KC can put up a shit ton of points themselves. So we may see – it may be like, a 54 to freaking 42 game. Like the Browns and the Steelers.
Yeah, we're going to see these ugly, high-scoring games, but that's what everybody wants nowadays. I kind of find them a little bit on the boring side. I like the smash-mouth games a little better.
I like somewhere in between.
Somewhere in between. Plays on offense and defense. Some of the shootouts we've had recently in the NFL have been fantastic. They're some of the most fun games to watch. Speaking of that, Bucks Saints coming up. How excited are we for the rematch?
Wow. The rematch, the Saints just keep handing it to them. I mean, it's not like the Bucks have done anything to show that they can win this game. I think the line 3 is almost small, but people are still riding that Tampa Bay is going to do something. But
Tampa is a much better team. They're a better team than they were the first 2 times they played the Saints.
They are
right now. They're better, but the Saints, I think, have their number. And that Saint defense is by far the best defense that Tom Brady is going to see in the playoffs, for sure. So yeah, we'll see. But my money would be on the Saints for sure.
Yeah, you lay that 3 all day with the Saints this Sunday.
Tell us why we're wrong, Jordan.
No, I mean, I think the Bucks are playing a lot better, like you said, than they were earlier. And you're probably right. I mean, it seems like definitely a safe bet, but I don't know. I'm holding out hope in the Bucks. I've liked them a lot more than you have all season. I think it's finally coming together for them. They're finally spreading the ball around, using all those weapons. They got great running.
I wasn't a Buck hater. It was George who was the Buck hater, because I still think Tom Brady is the GOAT. And so I wasn't a hater. I just thought it might take a little bit of time for them to be dominant. And, they dominated a couple games here at the end of the season.
Yeah, when they played Detroit, Atlanta, the worst defenses out there. They look great. He's the GOAT. Detroit, Atlanta, Minnesota. Yeah, the greatest.
He's the GOAT because he's got 6 rings. That's why he's the GOAT.
That shit don't do you nothing this year. Those 6 rings can't win you anything this year. It doesn't get you an extra first down. Doesn't throw you an extra pass.
I'm pretty
sure. Can we just pause and say that Tom Brady, all right, had the most completions over 10 yards of any quarterback this season? That was for George, who said he couldn't throw downfield anymore.
Well, I still don't think he can throw downfield. When you see the balls that these guys are catching, it's a circus act. Look at the balls. 10 yards underthrown, and Evans is up there stealing it from people. So, man, I can get some completions with that thing. He has amazing receivers.
Oh, yeah. They've never had receivers. I mean, Tom Brady in his career has never had receivers this good.
And how many times this year do you think Bill Belichick was sitting on the sideline going, fuck, I wish I had number 12 here today? Probably every week.
Threw for 40 touchdowns in his 40s. Come on.
Yeah. He's the GOAT.
And Winston threw for 50 the year before.
And 50 interceptions.
That's all right, but I'm telling you, he threw for 50. My point is, this kid threw for 50, and you guys are excited he threw for 40.
It's pretty damn good. I'm just saying.
All right.
I'm just saying Brady is a very smart quarterback, and it has served him very well. He's learned the system. To Jordan's point, a lot of people said he could not throw the ball downfield. He's proved that wrong. He's proved everybody wrong on that. I mean, how can you argue with the numbers? The numbers say it. He has more completions.
Watch the passes. Watch the passes.
Yeah, so we'll see.
I wish I could just bring up like 30 of his completions and just show you how horribly thrown they were, and the receivers just went up there and stole the ball.
Well, but that's kind of a.
Hey, Mike Evans, his best receiver, got Johnny Manziel drafted in the first round. Johnny Manziel running around out there throwing ducks. Okay, and Mike Evans at Texas A&M came down with all of it. Won him a Heisman as a freshman. Yes, Mike Evans
he's ridiculous.
Makes up for a lot of bad quarterback play. Not saying Tom Brady is bad, but I mean he's a great equalizer. Love me some Mike Evans.
Well, we'll see. I think that's going to be an epic game, though. I think it's going to be a much better game than the first two times they played. And you know, I mean, Breeze. I mean, you know, I'm going for the Saints. I would love to see Breeze get one more ring before he retires. But this is it for him, and I'm sure that he's highly motivated to destroy Tom Brady in this game. And I'm sure Brady
did he get some extra clips to get the motivation. Someone was talking some shit, so he's got some extra motivation. I still can't believe you think that means a damn. Like him dancing on the start, it means dick off.
You know else who thinks it matters? Bill Belichick. He thinks it matters. You want to argue with Bill?
Where is he?
Bill's never been on the field in his life.
He's got 6 rings.
He's not a player.
Argument.
You're
now arguing with Belichick. You're now arguing with the Patriot way.
How good?
I do think Drew Brees is done after this, and so he said that. Tom Brady, I don't think is done after this. I think he gives it one more year as a buck with the preseason, the whole thing. They're just starting.
Tom Brady is going to play until somebody breaks his leg or something. He's just crazy. I mean, he's crazy. I think he will play until somebody actually hurts him.
He stayed healthy all year. I was shocked.
Yeah, you said he was going to be out by what?
6 weeks. I said 6 weeks he'll be done. But no, he's shocked on that. He showed his longevity. He's still holding up.
He's the GOAT.
I don't know about all that.
I think the Saints take this. The Saints should take this just because they're going to be more motivated for the end of Breeze's career, whereas Brady has next year.
Yeah. Agreed. All right. That's going to do it. George, final words.
Well, my thing is I have to bet the Rams this week because they've let me – I bet against them every week for the last 3 weeks, and they've either beat me or lost my money. So I'm taking the Rams this week, and I don't know.
Now you're going to bet them.
Now I'm going to bet them. Try it.
I lost a lot on the Rams too, and I'm also not taking the Rams this week. So
no, I'm betting. They killed Seattle last week. I was shocked, so I'm betting them this week again.
Hey, let Russ cook, right? Let Russ cook. You can't expect your quarterback behind no offensive line with not much of a running game just to produce magic every week. Not against a great defense.
Here's how Seattle season went from the best offense in the history of the NFL with the worst defense in the history of the NFL, and then ball control, smash mouth. Let's let our defense play, win a few games. Then best defense in the league to the worst offense in the league. What the hell happened? I mean, that's the strangest sort of season I think I've ever seen from a team. There's usually consistency of some type.
Yeah,
right?
they look bipolar opposites from the beginning of the year to the end of the year.
Polar opposites. Yeah. Anyway, Jordan, take us out.
Hey, can we just say that it's Bama and everybody else now? I mean, there's no parity in college football. It's not close.
Yeah, I agree with that. They murdered last night. That team was ridiculous.
Yeah,
they even called the dogs up. They called the dogs
really easy. It looked like a lot like the LSU team last year, but everything just looked easy, right? And so,
Mac Jones is going to be a good quarterback. Everybody has him going to the Patriots in the mock. I think he goes a lot higher than that. I can see him sneaking into the top 10.
Yeah, I mean, the truth, though, is he's throwing to wide open receivers. I mean, it's like
studs.
Oh,
just
yeah.
wide open. But you know what? Burrow was too, and Burrow was really good. So, all right, that's gonna do it. Like, share, all that. Peace.
Peace.